What is up, guys? Skyler here. Today we're doing Mother Teresa versus Sigmund Freud. Very requested by you guys. One thing I wanted to say before we start is every week I'm going to be having a new outro song. And check this person out. They'll be in the first link in the description. Do me a favor and go to their song and say Skyler sent you. Check them out. They're a really solid streamer, a really good artist. But let's get into it. You'll see my comment there. I'm going to definitely be commenting on that video.
Mother Teresa, for short, called me MT. I'm a missionary of charity MC. Like Adidas, and I'm doing it for Jesus. A wild woman on the MC.
Okay.
Prize, but I'm not friendly. You're over 13 as a nominee. I got lines like the DMV, and BME takes polls, but I ain't got no DNV.
Okay, so she started off pretty solid. Let me mute my phone. I don't know if you heard that. The whole there's no DMV, which is Sigmund Freud's penis envy idea, which is, how do I explain it? It's like saying girls were envious of guys because their ability to pleasure themselves or just having a penis in general, which is, it was debunked later on. But yeah, that was the idea of at the time. So she's saying, I got none of that, but takes me being balls, which is cool. I got lines like a DMV, don't need to explain that. And yeah, Mother Teresa won a Nobel Peace Prize. So she's saying, you know, I'm friendly and I'm peaceful, but don't fuck with me, you know, don't test me. And you're 0-13 as a nominee. I don't really know how much of a diss that is. Sure, he never won, but being nominated 13 times is pretty huge for a award like that. And let's see. One thing she said at the beginning, oh yeah, the Nun DMC, which is like, if you guys know It's Tricky, you guys should all know It's Tricky. Run DMC, banger song, banger group, shout out to them. And the very interesting line, 3 stripes like Adidas, which is referencing her hat. And the last but not least, this beginning part, I'm a missionary of charity, which is the organization she set up. But an MC, which is the master of ceremonies, which is like a real rap, like people trying to be the master of ceremonies, the biggest MC. So I like that. Very good start. Nothing too crazy in the bar sense, but just, you know, she's bragging it, tearing them up.
Like Adidas, and I'm doing it for Jesus. A wild woman on the MC. I got a peace prize, but I'm not friendly. You're over 13 as a nominee. I got lines like the DMV, and BME takes polls, but I ain't got no DNV. Put the S for a better adversary on the mic, and the father of psychoanalysis. Psych! Look at that egghead. Mama wants some omelet. I'm here to correct the mind behind the mom sex complex.
Okay, good. She's picking up steam. Talking about how Sigmund Freud kind of had an ego, which he did. This egghead, he's intellectual and stuff like that. She's here to break that. And then talk about the mom sex complex, the Oedipus complex, which is the idea that, how do I explain it? That a son believed, or at a young age, the son would be more attached to the mom and look to the dad as competition in the sense, and rivalry to the household, because that's just that whole idea that you know, it's kind of like an animal instinct to try to fight over the pride in the women. So yeah, but so that's what she's kind of going after right there.
Some omelet. I'm here to correct the mind behind the mom sex complex. I gave food, bed, medicine, and showers to those whose flesh leprosy had devoured.
Did you really?
People who are mad at their parents complaining on the couch for $200 an hour.
Jokes I could make up.
I don't fuck with that shot as much. You know, so she's kind of doing that ideal or the typical therapy diss where it's just expensive just for other people to complain about their problems. You know, I've never done therapy by myself, but therapy, you know, it's as good as the beholder believes it is. So for some people, it just doesn't work for them, and that's fine. But for others, it's a major change in one's life and could help out a ton. So, you know, whatever value you see it as, you know, it's just not for everyone. And so I don't.
Jokes I can make about your looks abundant.
Okay.
Your chastity vow redundant. But that's enough about Mary B. Let's turn to my favorite subject. Me. I got mouth cancer, wasn't feeling so hot. Had The doc put me down with a morphine shot. Thank imaginary God I wasn't in one of your beds. You'd have just sprinkled magic water on my forehead.
That was hard right there. Okay, so, he kind of 8-miled it a little bit. Okay, at the beginning, let's talk about the beginning. So he talked about, he's kind of just saying, in his research, all mothers, like, people would want to be with all mothers. But the thing is, he's saying, the way you look, your chastity veil is redundant. It doesn't it doesn't apply here. No one wants to touch you. No one. And then he said, that's enough about Mary B, which was Mother Teresa's later name, Mary, and I don't remember the last name. It's spelled so weird I couldn't pronounce it even if I did. Let's turn to my favorite subject, me. So what he's doing is, a lot of people in these rap battles, if you get too focused on yourself, you can lose a rap battle because you're missing your target. But what he's doing here, I wasn't, focused on myself, talking about his own ego, the morphine and the cancer. He's kind of throwing those shots at him off the table, kind of like how they did in 8 Mile, where, you diss yourself so that way they wouldn't have any ammo on you. Because if that shot's already fired, you're shooting duds. So, but what he's saying here is, I wasn't feeling so hot, had the doc put me down with the morphine shot because Sigmund Freud, what he did was he was battling cancer for for a dozen years or so, and he was getting super, super old. I think he was like 80 something when he died. And what he had people do is just kind of put him in a comatose state with a morphine shot. That way he'd just peacefully go away. And he did. He died after a couple days of being in a coma, which is a peaceful way to die. And then mouth cancer, he was a heavy chain smoker, especially of cigars. And that's why that ultimately led to his death. So yeah, he's throwing that ammo off the table. And one thing he did say here, which I really like, thank God I wasn't on one of your beds, because Mother Teresa had the dying destitutes beds, which is a kind of a building she got just for her patients. But a lot of those times, the patients who went to those beds died. It was like how a retirement home is where people, grandma's final hours, but that was like, and they're there for as long as they can be. But this area was like where dying patients, they would just go to die. Which is ridiculous. They didn't, and after they got there, they didn't really help them at all. So he's saying, you would have just sprinkled holy water on my head. Hope for the best.
You'd have just sprinkled magic water on my forehead. I help people live. You watch people die to get souls for a man in the sky. You took credits that you didn't deserve. You're the fakest sister act since Whoopi Goldberg.
That was all hard right there. That was super deep too. Okay, so off the beginning, you watch people die. I help people, which Sigmund Freud did. Like I said, he was a big pioneer in psychiatric evaluation and psychology. But the very interesting part is Mother Teresa later, was thought to be the super saint and peacemaker and, big helpful person. But later on was figured to be involved in some scandals. And, her methods were kind of frowned upon. So, like I said before, she... There we go. Hold on. Where was it at? So like I said before, so to help get souls in the sky, when people were dying, what she'd do and to try to help out Jesus was to baptize people before they died, regardless of their religious beliefs. She would secretly baptize people in order to get Jesus or God's souls. And that was found out a lot later on, which is very interesting. And, you took credit for... that you didn't deserve.
You're the fakest sister act since Whoopi Goldberg.
So very interesting sister act. Mother Teresa wasn't really a nun. She was a sister, which is the sisters at the time in the Catholic area were someone who took a vow that they wouldn't, have sex and a couple other things. And so she's saying you're a sister act, but the sister act in Whoopi Goldberg, the character in Sister Act that is dressed up posing as a nun and sees a murder happen, someone die, but Mother Teresa, is pretending and saw people to be like this healer and a helpful person, and watching people die. So that comparison's 1-to-1, and that was just hard, and took credit for something you didn't deserve. A lot of these miracles and stuff like that, the people who would get better, was it due to her care, or was it just a fake miracle within itself?
You took credits that you didn't deserve. You're the fakest sister act since Whoopi Goldberg. You were running Project Pimps and Projects. To you, Calcutta meant Calcutta Tech.
Calcutta. So that's where her hospice was at. Her hospice hospital, where she would heal people, and she would. It was considered, she was helping out the slums, but she'd accept donations from people and stuff like that. And it was said that Mother Teresa may have been pocketing that money, especially because the people who went into her care weren't getting the max care that possible. She wasn't really giving out medicine, and she believed that. She also believed, the crazy part is, she believed that some of these people, when it came to their sickness, was rightfully so, that they should suffer. They should suffer like how Jesus did. They're suffering for other people. And the interesting part about it is, she was putting out these people getting this money, and where was the money going? A lot of, her care, her hospice was very underdeveloped. So very interesting. Calcutta check, that was hard. Yeah, she was considered pimping these poor people for their money.
You were running Project Pimps and Projects. To you, Calcutta meant Calcutta Tech. I can see right through you, and you've got no flavor. I'm battling a communion wafer.
A communion wafer. I don't have to break that one down. That's pretty obvious. Dude, Sigmund Freud, he went hard. This was a hard verse. Very direct. And Teresa had a very solid first verse, but this was super direct and in her face, and debunked a lot of shit about her. This was a rough verse.
I'm battling a communion wafer.
You call that a verse? You're super ego tripping. I gotta say, Sigmund, you're Freudian slipping. I built mad dishes in my savior's name. All you built was a mad tolerance for cocaine.
That was hard. So the whole Freudian slip, which is the reference she said right here, you're Freudian slipping. Which is like when you unconsciously make an error or speech, you mess up your communication. And so he's saying you're Freudian slip, and that whole last verse was a slip. And then he's saying you helped Jesus. You built a tolerance for cocaine because Freud believed was a heavy cocaine user. He was never super addicted. He cut it off on his own care, at his own ability. So he had a very good tolerance for it, per se, and he actually believed it was a very good drug to help too. That's before people knew a lot about these drugs.
Savior's name, all you built was a mad tolerance for cocaine. Obsessed with masturbation, but you're off the beat. Your clothes are so poor, I should be washing their feet. Dreams are the only place you'll ever be as dope as me. I make my rhymes count like beads on a rose.
Okay, she's coming with some heat. The book about dreams that Sigmund Freud wrote, which he believed in a sense that you could consciously dictate your dreams. So kind of like lucid dreaming, per se. Very interesting. But she's saying nothing that's too deep, so poor that I should be washing their feet, because Mother Teresa mostly dealt with the poor. And then what'd she say? You're all about self-pleasure, but you're off the beat, masturbation, beating off. I like that. That was nice. That was slick. And I make what'd you say? Make my rhymes count? Yeah, make my rhymes count like beads on the rosary. The beads on the rosary all mean certain things, like they rather meant stages or ideas. I don't really know the concrete details about it, because it's just not my thing, not my expertise. So if you guys know more about what the meaning behind the beads on a rosary means, let me know. I just know a little bit.
Be as dope as me, I make my rhymes count like beads on a rosary. Everything is sex to you after I'm through wrecking you. I'll have to go and do confession just for standing next to you. Want the second coming? I'll bless the mic again. I'll hit you like a prayer, mother lover, amen.
Okay, she ended that pretty hard. I'll end you like a prayer, mother lover, amen. Mother lover, not meaning motherfucker. You know, that's what you normally mean. But mother lover, which is the Oedipus complex, again, referencing that, throwing it at him. I like that. And one thing she said here I kind of liked the second coming, you know, the second coming of Christ. I'll bless the mic again. That was nice. That was nice. And I'd have to do confession for standing next to you, claiming how dirty he is.
I reckon you'll have to go and do confession just for standing next to you. On the second coming, I'll bless the mic again. I end you like a prayer, mother lover, amen.
I notice that you talk a lot about yourself, which is funny since you hide your true feelings like they were other people's money.
That was hard. That was hard. That was hard. Okay. So I know what people may be thinking right here. Sigmund Freud, he was talking about himself in the first verse, and then flips it by saying, well, Mother Teresa, you're talking about yourself. And you may be thinking that's hypocritical, but Sigmund Freud's egotistical, and he fired that shot at himself to throw it off the table. And he takes pride in it, while Mother Teresa is supposed to be, you know, when it comes to being a sister, it's a vow to help others, or, you know, to be not as egocentrical as that. And so he's saying, you know, you're talking a whole lot about yourself for someone who's supposed to be about the greater good of others. So very interesting. And what
it's funny since you hide your true feelings like they were other people's money.
So Charles Keating, it has to be a Charles Keating reference, was someone who was kind of stealing money from people and donating it to Mother Teresa and her, not all of it, but some of it to Mother Teresa's company, or not company, but like hospice. And it was like, in today's worth, it was like millions of dollars worth. And Charles Keating was then caught for doing that and prosecuted and found guilty. But the thing is, you know, the money was sent other ways, and they knew that Mother Teresa had some of the money, and Mother Teresa was asked to give it back. And they even said, like, you know, what would Jesus do? What would God do if, you know, they were getting donated someone else's money? And some of the people's money that he stole from was their whole life savings, everything they owned. So, you know, and you know what Mother Teresa did? Didn't give back any of the money at all. Just kept it. You know, and it said that she was pocketing some of the money too. So, you know, it's kind of rough.
Feelings like they were other people's money. Ooh, an exception to my theory. I can't believe this. Here we have a mother that no one wants to sleep with. You had a nice message, but your methods were detestable. I've seen better care given to organic vegetables.
Oh my god, dude. He is hammering her so much. Okay, so what he's referencing, you know, is you give better care to organic vegetables, which are you know, vegetables in themselves, you know, watering, feeding them, helping them, but you know, organic vegetables, people in that state as well, giving more care. Because like I said before, like what Freud said before, gathering souls in the sky, she would let people die. You know, she wouldn't help people to their max potential, you would think. She just kind of hoped for the best and believe that these people, the sick people, need to suffer. There's a reason for their suffering, and like that's God's will. So it's very interesting that they were her whole angle behind it all. And then what I really like about it is you know, he's saying, you know, her humanitarian standpoint, her front was nice, but her actual methods behind it were grotesque in a way. And then what no mother wants to sleep with, we've already went over that. That goes with the whole chastity lines and things like that.
We have a mother that no one wants to sleep with. You had a nice message, but your methods were detestable. I've seen better care given to organic vegetables. All these tokens of smoke and miracles. You really believe all this stuff? You're hysterical. I've got the libido to continue the picture. But our time is up, Teresa.
What a good way to end it. Our time's up, Mother Teresa. Kind of referencing how he's analyzing her as a character, or herself. So she's kind of going through her own psychoanalysis. I like that. And I got the libido to beat you, like the drive, the sexual drive to continue fighting. I like that because she's a mother. And, you know, all these smoke or tokens and things like that, these outlier cases where these people were healed. Do you really believe your healing methods were the reason that they healed. Very interesting. What a good battle. Sigmund Freud won that for sure. There's no doubt in my mind. I think he bodied her. It was close, but I do think Sigmund Freud's the clear winner. One thing I want to say before I do the intro, check out the artist down below and tell them Skyler sent you. I'll be commenting down there too. But yeah, I appreciate all you guys for coming by.
Always bother me, they wondering how much I make. So I tell them not enough, cause I know that there's more to take. Moving like a Zangoose, got that action every day. Y'all move like a Viper, I guess that they gotta hate. They be saying dumb shit like Tito, you do the most. We don't care about the shows and we tired of every post.